ممتاز. So first, we will complete what we stopped last time. We didn't complete the previous meeting, so we stopped on this slide exactly. So let's just start completing this, and then we will start the new meeting. We stopped in statement and scope and operators. So the operators, if you remember, there's two types of variables. Primitives and references, right? All primitive data type that are providing in Java are associated with a set of operators. But usually we can have two types of, the operators can get either single argument or two arguments. So let me use just trying to access. Okay, here we go. The button. Okay, so example integer and floating point type have an addition and subtraction operations. So you can add or subtract two variables to each other. But sometimes we just have a single argument. What we're meaning about arguments, so you can just have x plus plus. You have one argument here. But sometimes you have two arguments, like when you have a multiplication, you have A multiplied by B. So in this case, you're having two arguments. In the first case, you just have one argument. Good? So an arithmetic operation are used with a floating point number, various integer type. All the standard operations are here. You know those. So multiplication, division. A reminder is an important one to practice. So you need to know how you use it. We will have an example of it on. The negative operation, an array operator, the single argument for the negative operator appears to right of the minus sign. So if you're using a minus here, this is a single operator. It's going to be at the right of the sign. It's a prefix operators. However, the example I just give it to you guys is the prefix example, which is when you're having it plus plus. So we will see it here. The increment plus plus and decrement minus minus operation that have of two forms, either prefix or postfix. The postfix, so there is a difference during the compiling. So you really need to understand what's the difference between them. So you're going to get the right output at the end. Okay, so the prefix return the old value. See here, it's going to return the old value. This is the postfix, or the variable to which is applied. However, the prefix is going to return the new value. The plus plus operator increase the value by 1, and the minus minus is going to return it to minus it by 2. Sorry, minus 1 on the number. So here's the example. If you declare an integer called myInt and you initialize it with 0, then you do postfix. You hear it here is postfix. At this statement, during this time, how much is myInt is? It's 0 or it's 1 or it's 2? You tell me, guys. Let me check the chat. So what's the results going to be? So when you're having a prefix, the postfix, so it is going to be the name of the variable. The name of the variable is my int. It could be x, it could be y, could be any other name, and then you put plus plus. So what's the result of it? It is going to be 0, right? So here it cannot change. It doesn't change until the next call. So if you're doing print here, it's going to give you 0. But if you do print later, it's going to give you 1. But instead of doing a print, what they did here, they did a prefix. So after this point, here is 0. After this point, which is between those steps, it's going to be 1. In this step, when you do the prefix increment, it is going to take the 1 and it's going to plus it with 1. So it's going to be 2. So it's add the 1 in the same sentence that is created. So it's a prefix, so it's going to be 2. So the value after the first sentence is 1, and during the second sentence is 2. Let's see the other example here. So we having the int, and we defined a variable called my int with a 10. Then we declare x, and we initialize it with the value of my int, but we do postfixed. So what are we going to do? How much is the x here? The x is 10, because in the same sentence, we're using the post. In the same sentence, the value is not changed during the same sentence. Is only changed in the next sentence. So in the next sentence, if you do, for example, a print for a variable my int, you will get 11. It's clear? Okay. So the operator the precedence of the arithmetic operation. If an expression involves more than one operators, so if you have more than one operators, there is a clear order in which operators are evaluated, determined by what is known as operator precedence. So راح يكون في ترتيب معين، في قواعد معينة إلى إيش العمليات اللي راح تصير أول. So there is a rule which is supposed to start first. You're supposed to start from left to right, right to left is depending on operation. There is a table of this. So if you don't have البرانسيسز ما عندك الأقواس، المفروض إنك تتبع القواعد. So based on what do you know? So the operation is supposed to start from what? Left to right or right to left. So what the result of the first sentence here? Good. So you know what is it 23? Why? Why we didn't started with a plus first? So first we multiply 4 with a 5, and it's going to be 20. Then we do the plus 3. So it's supposed to be left to right. The rule, the rule is from left to right. But the exception here is that when two operators share an operand of the operator with a higher precedence, it's go first. What's the higher precedence? The plus or the multiplication? مين له الأولوية؟ البلس أو المultiplication؟ هو المفروض القاعدة تبدأ من اليسار إلى اليمين لو ما كان في أقواس. لكن لو كانت في عندك بلس ومultiplication الأولوية راح تكون إلى المultiplication. So in this example لما يكون عندك 1 plus 2 multiplied by 3 you treated تتعامل معها على أن في أقواس إلى المultiplication, so you start with it first. Okay? Then, but when you have the parentheses, you don't need to think about the order of them. So you're starting here, for example, 3 plus, then you having the parentheses 4 multiple 5. So what are you going to get here, guys? No, it's not 17. Hamad, I just explained. If you're having a multiplication and you have the plus, the multiplication is supposed to be first. Okay, it is important, Hamad, to get this one. Okay, and then if you have the parentheses, you will think about it right away about starting with the one it's between the parentheses. Then the second example, you're having the parentheses for 3 plus 4, then multiple by 5. So this is going to be how much? So the second example, you have 3 plus 5, then multiple by 5. Good, 35. Good, guys. So you get it? If you're having the parentheses, you started with it first. If you don't, you go depending. There is a table for all operations. For a plus and a multiplication, you're starting from left to right. But whenever there is a multiplication, and multiplication started before the plus. So let's do this as fast as we can, guys, so we can finish the first sections. I need you to give me the answer of the A. 1 plus, then you're having 2 multiple by 2. How much this is going to be? Yes, 7. Good. Let's see the movie. And then second example, number P. 1 plus 2 multiplied by 3. 9. Good. C. 2, then multiplied by 6 multiplied by 2. Sorry. Zero. Good. That's why, because there is a goes into 6 3 times when there is no reminder. So 0, if you giving 3, you having 2. So if you having, for example, 6 books, and 2 person, so each of them will get 3, right? So at the end you will end with 0 books. So there is no reminder. 17, okay, what about D? 17, reminder 12. Five. Good, guys. So the reminder is 5 here. When we said E, 5, reminder 0. Another answer? So E, 5, when you have that's reminder of 0, what are you going to get? We're going to get 0, you're right. Sorry, we're going to get an error, sorry. It's not a 0, it's going to be error. Yes, I know there is some students on the waiting. I'm trying to manage this. Also, although I'm already changing the setting to allow everyone to get in, but I have more than 100 students too, so I'm trying to manage giving the lecture and managing the waiting room, okay? So that's why it's better if you coming all in the same times at the beginning. Yes, so we will get an error. This would cause a runtime error due dividing by 0. Whenever you're dividing by 0, either it's reminder or it's divisions is going to be causing an error time whenever you're dividing it by 0. Okay, what about F? 2 and then reminder 3. What are we going to get? F, we are on F, guys. So F, what are we going to do here? I just see couples of right answers. Okay, 2, good. Why? Because let's say you're having 3 person and you have 2 books. Because you're having less books than the number of person, so it's gonna to be the whole of it is gonna to be the remainder. So the remainder is gonna to be 2 here. What about 5 divided by 2? Number G. 5 dividing by 2. Yes, right, it's 2. Because here we just get to give to the integer. It's not a double, so we get the whole numbers, 2. We don't get 2 point something because we didn't do it as a double. What about H? We are on H now. What about H? Five divided by 0. Error, exactly. Runtime error, do you divide it by 0? So we just said, whenever you divide it by 0, or trying to find a remainder when you divide it by 0, it's gonna, the compiler doesn't catch this up. Okay, what about I? Here you don't divide it by 0. You divide 0 on something. So what's the result? Good, so it's 0. Whenever you're dividing 0 divided by any number, it's going to be 0. What about the last one? When you divide 5 divided by 2, it is similar to G, but the first one, it is integer, and the last one is double. So what are we going to get? Exactly. So here you see, because you divided on double, you get the double result here, 2.5. Good. So you get 2.5 because you divided by 2.0. There's some latency on my handwriting, so just try to catch you up. Okay. So we're done with this. So let's move to the statement scoop here. So we talked about a relational operators. So you know what's the relational operators. Tell you about the relational between value of the same times, and then you will have the arguments. So the argument is the variables is going to be comparing that when you use it with an operators. It could be integer, floating number, or char. So for example, if you wouldn't get equal to or not equal to, operator can also be used for the Boolean type. You can always use it for Boolean, but the relational use it with different integer, floating, or chart. So here's the table. You know those, the equal, if the first argument equals to the second one. Here, if it's not equal, if it's greater than, less than, and so on. An expression involving in a relational operators is a logical expression. There is a relational operator. This is a relational operator, but what's involved in an expression is going to make it logical expressions. Good? Yes, Abdurrahman, it's going to be same if you divide it, if you're using a double there. So has Boolean value either true or false of the result. Evaluating the following expressions. So if you using 1 less than 2, this is going to be true. So the result is going to be true. 0.5 bigger than 0, it's true. And then is 2 equal to 2, this is true. True is not equal to false, this is a true. So you are saying, is it true not equal to false? Yes, it's a true. False, it's equal to false. It is true. A is less than C is true, you need to back to the Unicode table. For those who doesn't recognize while letters, there is an order and a number for each letters, and it's different between a capital and a small as well. Okay, so let's do this again, guys. I know you're doing a great job on the first one, so let's finish this as well. So what about one? Which of the following combined declaration and initialization are incorrect, and why? If we're having a Boolean boop equal to 0, is this right or wrong? Is this correct or incorrect? You need to tell me A. When you're using a Boolean and you have a variable here and you say it's 0, it's correct and incorrect, and why? Exactly. It's incorrect because 0 is not a Boolean. When you define this is the data type. This is the name, and this is the value you're going to initialize it. You cannot to initialize a Boolean variable with an integer. You need to initialize it either with a true or false. So you cannot, for example, say integer x equal to XYZ, for example. This is wrong. Why? Because you defined an X as an integer and then you try to assign a string on it. This is the same things. You defined POP as a Boolean and then you try to assign integer on it, which is wrong, okay? So B, is it right? It's correct or incorrect? Boolean, true, is it true? Is it it's correct or incorrect? Okay, Hamad Seal, B is correct. Who say it's correct or it's not correct? We are talking now on B. It is correct or incorrect? Exactly, thank you, Muhammad. It's not true, it's not correct. Thank you all, it's a great job. It is incorrect because Java is a case sensitive. This keyword is case sensitive. Here, this is a capital. Boolean is supposed to be true or false, small, true or false. What about the last one? Because it's a case sensitive. What does that case sensitive mean? Case sensitive mean if it's capital or small, it's different. البوليان لما نكتبها لازم نكتبها as small, false or true. Whenever even one letter capital, that means it's wrong. It's not a Boolean anymore. C, true or false, correct or incorrect? Okay, it is correct. And then let's go on the rest of it as fast as we can. We cannot stay on it more than this. Explain why each of this following expression is incorrect. So the list here, they already told us this is incorrect. We need to know why. So if you defined G and you say it's false and H as a false, so you're having two Boolean variable and then you have two integer variable. So if you say A is bigger than G, A is integer and you compare it with a Boolean, so this is wrong. You cannot compare two different types, okay? The second sentence will be is G equal to equal 0. G is a Boolean. So you cannot, again, compare two different types. H equal true. This is incorrect because, as we said, it's a case sensitive, and here true is capital. And then the last example is when you say it's G is less than H. So you cannot use less than or bigger than with the Boolean. A less than operator is not defined for Boolean arguments. So you can use it with an integer and so on, but not with the Boolean. Good? So logical operators are used to combine the result for several. Okay, so now there is an operator called logical operators. When you're using these operators, if you're comparing several logical expressions, you already having one logical expression and another one, and you need to compare them. So you can using this is an and, and this is an or, and this is a not. So this is going to return true if both A and B are true, otherwise it's going to return false for an and. Or is going to return always true unless both of them is false. And the not is going to return the opposite one. Good. The example here, you declare A and B as an integer, and you define two other variables as a Boolean. A is 22, B is minus 33. Then you create, here this is a Boolean, so the results that they will get to hold either true or false. So you compare A, is it bigger than 0? It is going to be true. Or B, it's bigger than 0, it is going to be false. But since you already having one true with an or, the results here is going to be true. The other one then, A is less than 0, it's false. And then we have B less than 0, it is true, because minus 33 is less than 0. But you having an false and true is going to be false. Good? So the variable either positive and assigned value, so this is what we just explained. The conditional process, the Boolean type, the flow control structure determine the way in which Java executing different segments. So we will talk about now an if statement when you're having a condition to decide if this happened, then do this. If that happened, do this, and so on. I believe you already remember this. So we have in the conditional processing, which is represent if, and a repetitive processing, which is represent loop. So عندنا العمليات الشرطية راح نتكلم فيها في الإف، وراح نتكلم بالتكرار هنا راح نختص فيها اللوب. So في الconditional processing selection statements, you're going to select something. الcondition ممكن أن هي تكون select not always الإف, you can use الإف and switch as we're going to see. Give a way to specify the condition changing control in programs. The variable of the Boolean type can hold either true or false. لسه قلنا قبل شوية إذا كان عندك أي variables hold the Boolean types is going to get the Boolean types is going to be either true or false, which is our keywords في Java. The expression data value to Boolean value, normal logical expressions, and here relationals and logical expressions that we just explained in the previous slide. If statement, we'll see the example here. If logical expressions, in the logical expression, that's what you put it here. For example, you can say x less than y equal and so on. You're creating expressions. This is going to go as an argument in the if statement. So this is the argument. The argument of the if statement is what? Is a logical expression. This is the keyword f, and then you open the brackets, the curly brackets. You need to remember the different type of the brackets. What we're using, it's curly brackets, and you put the statements. If you have only one statement, you don't have to use the curly brackets. Good. If the logical expression is false, any statement in the body of if statement are not executed. Good. If it's true, you go here. If, for example, if I having x equal to 1, y equals to 1, and I said x equal y, then is going to get n because it's true. But if I said the condition x is not equal to y, this is like the compiler won't go at all here. It's just going to skip it and go next, like at the end of the brackets, and compile the first statement after the curly brackets here. As I said, it could be one line, it could be more than one line. This is in the style of writing in Java. You need to take care of indentations. So what's indentations mean here? The space that you are leaving it when you are writing. So you see here F, and then you're leaving space. The statement is not in the same level. But even if you write it in the same level, for Java, it's going to accept it. It's not wrong. As long as you're using curly brackets, it's fine. It's going to accept it. But it's for you to write it well. However, some other language, like Python, if you using incorrect indentation, the whole code will be not compiled correctly, because in Python you don't use the curly brackets, for example. They're trying to simplify your life, but they're asking you to be careful with the indications. But with the Java, if you're using an indications for yourself, but if you don't do it, it's fine. It's going to compile fine, as long as you're using right brackets. A variable of type Boolean and the if statement, so it's going to be Boolean. The argument here, the Boolean variable is used when you want to store information about the truth or false of part of our program. So if you would like to say something is true or false. Good. So conditional processing, if and else. In some cases, you don't need to say if this is happen. Sometimes you would like to say if this is happen, do this. Otherwise, if it's not happen, do something else. I said, okay, I would like to, I prefer to go to certain restaurant, but if it's a close, I'm going to go the other one. For example, if else. So logical, if this is true, it is going to enter and compile the first group of sentence. If it's false, it is going to go to else and compile the other part, the other group of sentence that is going to go after else. So the executed, if it's true, is going to execute it here. If it's true, if it's false, it's going to execute it the group of a statement under else. So if this is not true, then do this else. So if here they give you an example, this is supposed to be what the type of novice. So novice is a variable here. So what's the type of this argument or this variable? So this variable is integer, double, or what? And it has to be which type? I'm not asking if it's true or false. I'm asking can you put, for example, if it's integer and you put x, can you put it as an argument for f? No. Yes. I'm asking, you can, no, it's not integer. It's Boolean, you're right. So it's Boolean. It has to be Boolean value, or it has to be logical expression. So here, the argument of if it's supposed to be true or false. It cannot be integer, for example. So in voice here, it's already divided as a Boolean. Good. So if this is true, then it is going to go and execute the first sentence. If it's false, so if it's true, the other variable, so you define two variables. If the first variable, novice, is going to be true, then put it true for the second one. If it's false, so if it's not true, that means it's false, you're gonna to assign or initialize the other variables with false. Good. There is sometimes a need to put some what's called nesting of a statement. يعني تحتاج توضع شرط داخل شرط. مثلا ممكن انك تشترط ان if you have do مثلا certain task, then enter to this inside this if statement. Then if this task under a certain condition, then go inside it. And here's an example. They said if A equals to 34, then get n. That means if it's not equal, you won't go here at all. Right away, you will skip all this and get out. If this is false. If it's false, it's going to go right away and skip it, get out. If it's true, it will do this first sentence. This is going to be done. It's as initialized as with 23, and it will do I plus plus. Then we'll go to this sentence, the nesting if. It will test till I is less than 23. If it is false, it is going to get back here. This is if it's false. If it's true, it is going to go inside, if it's true, and do a B plus plus and a C plus plus. Okay? So here you're having two expressions. The first expression for, let's say, we'll call it the mother statement, and is having the child inside it. If this is false from the beginning, it will never ever get to the child inside if it's false. But if it's true, it may go into this or not, depending on the second conditions, logical expressions that on the nested statement inside it. The other way to do selection, you can do switch. How switches work? A switch is gets an argument. You write a keyword switch and you put an argument. It is going to be, what is the type of the argument? What do you think? It is Boolean, it's logical expressions. What is going to be? So the argument is already there. I'm asking you, something is already written. So what's the type of the argument? Switch, and then we put argument. Is it a Boolean, integer, char? So can I say, for example, switch true? Answer me this question. Can I say switch and then say true? It is correct or incorrect? No, yes, it's incorrect. I cannot say switch true. Argument is not a Boolean. It's not a true or false. That's right. It is incorrect. The argument is either integer, char, short, byte, so those types. Because this is the argument that you're gonna to compare depending on the value of this argument. So if I having x, which is I defined it as integer and it has 5, for example. So it has a value. It's not a Boolean. Okay? Depending on the value of the argument, you will decide it's going to go to which case selector. Each selector is a constant value. So first, is the keyword switch, and you have the argument, which is going to be integer, chart. No, it's not a condition. It is a condition, but condition depending on the value of the variable. So هي قيمة يا أحمد، هي الاختيار أو الكونديشن الشرط يعتمد على القيمة اللي راح تكون بالارجيومنت. يعني لو كان الارجيومنت عندك x ورقمه 5، الشروط اللي راح تكون، الخيارات اللي راح تكون داخل راح تعتمد على القيمة اللي موجودة بالخمسة. مش مثل الاف ان الدخول الى القيم راح يعتمد هل هي true or false. لا، هي ممكن تكون اي قيمه، اعتمادا على قيمتها راح يتم اختيار واحده من الكيسز. good. So it's a condition بس مش مثل الاف you're gonna to get n if it's true or false. The switch you're gonna to get n anyway, but selecting which case selector is depending on the value of the argument. Good. Is it clear, Ahmed? Yes, it's a selector, exactly. But it's depending on the value. When they said it's conditional processing, that is condition based on the value. It's not like a true or false. It's going to select it depending on it. Okay, so then a case selector, you put more than one case selector. In this case, we have 3 case selector. So you see here, it's important to use the right indicator. So you know this is a case selector. You said in case selector 1, do this. This is what is compiled. You see here, you have 2 dots. So you said, in this case, do this. This is not a statement. This is a case selector. You see, it's not end with a semicolon. It's similar here. It's not end with a semicolon, the case selector. This is important to notice, guys, okay? So if this is the case, then run this statement. If this statement is right, sometimes you use a break. That's mean if this is right, I don't need you to waste the time and go over all the other selection. A break and end the switch. يعني احيانا انت تستخدم الستيتمنت للبريك على اساس انك تحفظ وقت الكومبايلر ما يضيع الوقت، فتقول له متى ما تنفذت ان هي هذه الكيس سيلكتور اللي انا راح اعتمدها، راح اعمل رن الى هذه الستيتمنت وانهي لي السويتش. أنا ما له داعي أمشي على باقي الخيارات الثانية. So الكود بلوك هي أي شيء راح يكون موجود in each cases. بس هنا إذا عندك خيار واحد فقط, so if you only have one statement, you don't have to put it between a practice. But if you have more than one statement, you have to. Then there is what is called the statements. Are performed if the case selector is logically equal to the argument. So equal to the argument doesn't say that it is true. So the case selector, if it's equal to the argument, then do the statement under it. Okay. The break keyword, this is what I just explained. If it's true, you get it to just end up get out of the switch. Then we have what is called the default case. You see it here. Why are we using a default? A default case, like you say, if none of those are true, like you didn't go to the case 1 or case 2 or the whole case is here, the default then set this statements. One statement, set of a statement. This is what I need you to do if it doesn't match. For example, if you are writing a code for the student grades, so you assigning here the student's grade. You remember the question we did it in a lab. We use F, but in the same time we could do it with a switch. I remember one of the students suggest that. So if you said the mark is 30. Then you put the fail, and so on. Defaults, like if the mark is not between 100 and 0, so if it's bigger than 100 and less than 0, that's mean like you can print statements that this is not a correct grade, for example. Okay. The switch case statement, this is another example. So you put a controller, has an argument, and then case A, you're going to give it, if it's the controller is A, you're going to assign void I to 3. If it's B, you're going to assign the different variables. If it's C, it's different variables, and so on. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go in really detail. No, it's not like it is like else, but if all the cases are not correct, okay, Lujane? So it's like if it's all the cases, it's not correct. Okay, I'll try to do faster, guys, because we're still having the second meeting. So if you have a question, you can interrupt me and ask that question, but I'll try to do it faster. So we have in here the switch cases statements, another example. So here you just having inner two operations. The first one is for, so you have the loop, and then you assign the switch. So first you get to go from I equal to 0 until I is less than 10 plus plus. So you will go from 0, 1, 2 until 10. Then first, this is a tracing. A tracing code is an important skill, guys, to try. So I would like you to try this by yourself, if you could. So we will just do one example, but then try to do the rest of it. So at the beginning, I 0. So you will go with 0. Case 1. System that print is 1. So case 1, so the value is going to compare 1. Here we have I is how much is it? Is 0 now. It is 1? No, it's not going to go here. Is it 2? No. Is it 3? And so on and so forth. Is not. So it's going to enter to the default one in the first time, and it's going to enter not in the list. So it's going to print the first one. And so on for the rest. So when it's 1, it's going to print 1, and so on. Okay? Repeated processing is the loop. So if you would like to repeat a certain process several times, you can use a loop, either using a while or a for. It's just in a previous example, we're using a for when you would like to test more than one example. And while, for example, while, this is the keyword, and here's the logical expression. So whenever this is true, it's like an if statement. This is a logical expression. If this is true, you're going to get and compile what you have it inside again and again. If it's wrong, you're going to get, or if it's false, you're going to get out of it and stop. While the logical expression is true, the statements are executed. The truth of logical expressions reach after execution of the body of the while. Here is an example. So if you have an array called Volst, which contains 5 items, and then you initialize the I as a 0, sum as a 0. While I is less than 3, at the beginning I is 0. Is 0 less than 3? It's true. So it's going to get inside. It's going to do sum is 0. Plus is 0 because it's still a 0. Vowel I, so we will see today when you would like to access an array, the first index, the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when I is 0, so we will get I is 0, we will get a 10. So this is 10. So we will get a sum equals 0. Equal to 0 plus a 10 is going to be, now it's changes 10. Then before you exit the loop, there is another sentence which is said I plus plus. So I now is not 0, I is 1. So we'll go back here and test till I again. Is it 1 less than 3? Is it true? So we'll get inside again. 10 is 0. 10 it's 10. Sum is 10 equals to 10 plus الvals now here I is 1. So we'll go and search for index 1. How much it has? It has 20. So here it's 20. So 20 plus 30, plus 10 is going to be 30, and so on and so forth. This is what is called tracing. Yes, Shu'bah 1302. So this is what we're going to get, okay? You need to do the tracing. So this is another example. Write a frequency code to do the following use for loop. Here, this is I need you to do by yourself, guys. If you have a question, you can email me on it. So this you need to write an example. Here, for example, I'll just explain it fast, and you can ask if you have a question. Print out a sequence of numbers. So you need to print from 1 to 20. So you're starting from 1 until 20. So 20 is going to be included because we said less than or equal 20. We didn't say less than 20. So it's going to print the sequence. It's just going to print the numbers, okay? The other one is just ask you to print the character of English alphabet in a received or in a reversed order from zip to A. If you would like to print it from zip to A, with some explanatory text, and then they said, hence you can do arithmetic with a char value because they are underlining type and integer. So how you can do this? You rule 4. You start from Z because they said you're going to do it reverse, and then said as long as the char is bigger than and or equal A, because you need to print A, so you have to put it equal. If you would not like to print A, you can just leave it. Char minus minus, and then print char here. The for statement is similar. This is what we just explained before, and we had examples. So you put, instead of just on the one, you just have a logical expression. You don't have a control initialization and control adjustment. يعني عندك فقط إيش هو الشرط. بينما في الفور you have a control initialization. من فين راح تبدأ وكل كم راح تغيره. So, for example here, initialize تقول له أنا راح أبدأ من I equals 0 إلى I أقل من اللينث الطول اللي حق الأري. A dot اللينث راح تعطيك اللينث اللي حق الأري. في كل مرة تدخل فيها اللوب اعمل لي بلس بلس. في كل مرة تدخل إلى اللوب اعمل لي بلس. اعمل إضافة إلى القيمة، وما دام هذا الشرط صحيح الcondition this is right, then you execute this sentence. So first you initialize it. Here is the condition, and this is what you're supposed to do every time you get in. So you start from 0. If this condition is right, then you get in. Whenever you finish, you get out. But before you execute this, before you check the condition, you're supposed to do plus plus. So what's the order here? Let's do it. Let's see. So first you initialize it. This is just happened in the first time. Then you check the condition. But you don't do this. then you come here, run the statement. If it's true, this is just if it's true. After this has happened, this is true. Then later, I'll use another color. So this is the second round. Then here, you will come check the condition. First you're going to increase it before you check the condition. So in the first time when you check the condition as 0, then you're going to increase it to 1. Then you're going to check the condition. If it's true, you're going to execute this. So on and so forth. Question about the loop? So sometimes it's not, they don't use it straightforward. So they don't just said يعني ما راح يعرفوها فقط أن هي I equals to 0 or 1. So initial it's an integer, I equals to 2 multiple by star when you initialized or declared the star before. يعني أحيانا تكون more complicated. يعني أنت ممكن تعرفه إنه هو يبدأ من أي قيمة، مش دائما لازم يبدأ من الزيرو. ممكن تقول له إنه هو يبدأ من القيمة من 5 من 10 من قيمة معينة من الكونديشن معين مثل ما هم عاملينها هنا، إنك راح تبدأ من الاثنين multiple by الستار، هم راح يكونوا معرفين الستار من قبل. يعني مسبقا راح تكون معرفة للستارت، فراح تعمل لها multiplication مع الاثنين وبعد كده تعمل لها assign إلى الاي. القيمة اللي راح تطلع هنا هي اللي راح تبدأ اللوب فيها. So for example, if it's started, if the start is 4, that means you will get 8. So you're going to start it from 8, and then as long as I is less than the end value, so if let's say the end value is 20, then you will get n. You will do statement. And the next time, when you get first, you do control adjustment. So you will get add. But this time they didn't say I plus plus. They said +2. So here I is 8. It's going to be then 10. So you'll ask yourself, is 10 less than 20? It's true, so you will get n, and so on. Okay? So this is the end of the previous meeting. So any question about this part, guys? If it's no, we will go with a second meeting. Okay, Asil. If statement, what's exactly not clear on it? If it's a short question, you can ask it now. If it's not, you can email me so I can discuss it with you. Okay, so here, okay, thanks. So here we will talk about an array, string builder, and a verbs class. The array, I believe most of you know about it from 105. So we will go on it just to review, okay? So what's an array? Array is a collecting of items of the same types. So usually you having one item when you have a primitive value, okay? But here in the array, you have it in a sequence. So they come in the next of each other. So an array, it is more than one item. It's not one item. And it has an index, so you know how you access the array elements. So there is an element inside the array, and there is index that's helping you getting what's inside the array. So if you're saying x, if this array is called x, and you said you put a square practice, that means you are gonna get the value here. Now, الarray declaration. كيف راح نعرف الارray؟ In الجافا الarray variable, it's a reference or it's a primitive. So الarray is a primitive variable or it's a reference. It's important to know this, guys. You remember in a previous section we talked about it. Primitive, that's when you have variables and it's hold a value. A reference is going to point to something. So an array are a reference. You're right. Good. Primitive, that is going to hold it. So this is already give you a hint. So this is an array. This is, you don't put a holder, this is called a holder. No, you have a holder which is point to the array. Good. Because an array are objects. What does object mean? We discussed it already in a first meeting. An object, you're going to have some value, variables inside it, and you can have some methods on it, okay? So it has instance variables. So you have variables inside it that you can access, and you can invoke methods. So if you remember, when we give an example of a dog, you can have a size, you can have the name of the dog, you can have a color, and then you have some methods. Exactly same with an array and other objects. You always try to remember that it has two parts. It has a part for variables and it has a part for methods. The part of the variables is to store some values inside it. So anything that has value, X, Y, Z, a size, a color, whatever. And in methods, any things that doing some actions, returning, printing, those are going to be a method. So this is an object. So an array is an object. So you can have a variables on it. You can have a methods on it. We will see some example of methods on it. So always remember, an array or a reference. It is an object that can hold variables and it can invoke methods. Okay, how we can declare it? There's two ways to declare it. Either you said integer and you put the square practice and then the name, which is preferred. So let's try to focus on this. Put a name at the end. So you decide, you remember, it's not integer, it's an array. So you put the square practice, or you can put the square practice at the end after the name. There's a different type of array, Boolean, chart, double, and string, and as we see here as integer. Then how you can initial it? Okay, what's the benefit of Boolean array? The Boolean array, sometimes you would like to access some information, but you would not like to write the value of it because the Boolean is going to be smaller. For example, if you have an array of students, which is associated, this is two doubles array. Actually, it's complicated. It's only true or false, but you can get a result when you it's gonna to benefit you when you connect it with another array. Let me think about an example. Like usually, sometimes let's assume you're having students. So this is student 1, student 2. And each of this is, you're going to see it later, array connected with another array. This array is gonna, this array is just a reference. So the first student is just going to connect it with another array that has the marks, or if it's here registered or not in the specific course. So you are in a system, you know the order of that. The first index is the course number MT251. So true, that means the student is registered on it. False is mean it's not registered, and so on. It's takes time maybe to explain it, but yes, it's useful actually. Sure. Actually, guys, I think many of you may have questions. So I'll try to set an online office meeting for you, so you can come and ask your question. So I will have more time to explain it to you. I know sometimes it's hard to explain by email, and we may don't have a time to explain during class. So I'll set a virtual e-office, okay, and I'll send it to you. So here's the initialized of the example. If you would like to initialize the array, if you set it all 1, you can use just curly brackets and put the value inside it, and it's going to create the array based on the number of initialized. So you having here 5 is going to create it 5 and set the 1 on it. The other way to create the array is using new operators. تقدروا تستخدموا a simple way and then square اللي شفناها قبل شوية بالمثال، أو تقدروا تستخدموا النيو operator اللي راح نتكلم عنها الآن. So if you would like to use it, you always remember the array is a reference type. It's not primitives. See how many times I repeated? So please get it right. As such, array objects are always can be created using a new keyword. So when you set and then you put name, you can put a new. In this case, what I'm going to have after the new? Behind this blue square. So if you decide to use new as an operator, you will write int, a type of an array, you put square brackets, then here is the name of the array, then a keyword new, then what I'm going to have, I'm trying to represent the first picture. Int 5. It is the answer. No one get it right. Or Lujane's get it right. Okay, so you decide after the new, you put a type and then a size. Because here we have 5 elements, so size is 5 and a type is integer. So first the type and array, array holder, which is a reference's name, then keyword new, then you need to decide the type again, and inside it you decide the size of the array. Here we have only status that there should be room of 4 integers, actually 5. We can initialize these elements. If you just design it here, it's going to be 0. But if you would like to initialize it, the default is initialize it with 0. You need to remember this, guys. If you're using new and you just define it, what you will have inside it is the 0. What is the default? Is 0. What if you would like to individually locate it? So if you put the holder, the first location, using 0. How we can tell the compiler, please put 1 on the first location. Anyone know? What's the sentence that is going to write this one here? Yes, right, using the index here to see. But can you put the sentence, with the sentence to write the one here? Good, Muhammad, but it's not completed. Holder 0 equal to what, Muhammad? Exactly. Good. This is what we're looking for. Thank you, Raqad. So a holder for the first index for 0 is going to be 1. Then for 1 is going to be 1. For 2 is going to be 1. So on and so forth. Good? This is equivalent. Either you going at 1 by 1 or you just assign the whole in the sense. Assigning the value to individual elements. So an example here. So if we have a holder and we have a specific number here equal to 10. Please, someone write down the answer. So what is going to be behind this box? Right. Thank you, guys. You are with me. 1. So the index is going to be 1, 0, 1. So in 1 we having 10 here. Good. Here is an important topic to talk about. Changing an array references. Sometimes you are not changing, it's as we said, it's references. So you are not going to change it, you're going to change your references. It's like with a string. You can make an array references refer to another object. So for example, if you define or declare holder 2, and you said it has 1, 2, 3, okay? So this is the sentence. Then you said holder is equal to holder 2. This is gonna to still there. It's not gonna to remove. The only thing is gonna to change is the pointer, is the reference. So now holder 1 is pointing to the same array that holder 2 is referred to. هنا لما عملنا الهولدر equal to holder 2 ما راح تغير المحتويات اللي حق الهولدر 2 لأن أساسا هي الهولدر مش هي primitive variables، هي بنفسها ما تحتوي قيمة، هي فقط pointer، هي كانت فقط تشير إلى array معينة اللي هي الأولى اللي كانت تحتوي الواحد 10 1 1 1. فلما قلنا الهولدر تساوي الهولدر 2 that means we ask the holder to point to the same place the holder 2 is doing. So both of them is going to just refer to the same array. Then, okay, so this is what we just do. So how you can access the array? A data array, you using an index. This is the first example we did in this slide. So for holder, when you put in the index 1, so if I said holder in the index 1 equal to holder index 0 multiplied by 10 is going to assign 10. So this is exactly like this one, but in a different way. So they are similar. Okay. So now I will talk about the length, the array length. The array instance, it has a variable. If you remember, we said the array is an object. An object, always remember it as this. So an object has a variables and has a method. And variables can hold a value inside it. So one of the variables on the array is the length. Length, okay? And it's going to have some value inside it. A length in which giving the capacity of the array. So if you put how we can use the variables, if you're having an object, you put the name of the object. So this is an object holder. And then how you can access the variables? You put dot and the name of the variable. The name of the variable is length. So it's going to be holder dot length. Represent the number of location in the area holder. A length will give us a number and the capacity initialized. And you need to remember that an array is always fixed. A length cannot be changed. Whenever you create it, you initialize it, it cannot be changed. Accessing an array element beyond the array capacity is going to cause what? A runtime error. So if we're creating an array with the 3 elements, 0, 1, 2, if this is array called X, and then you said X, and you said an element 5, this is going to cause a runtime error because the 5 is beyond the capacity of the array. Okay? So the capacity of the array or the size of the array, you decided it's going to be initialized at the beginning when you decided. So this is about length as a variable. You remember we are talking about it as here. You are a variable, it's not a method. Here they're going to tell you something else, that's why the length, when you're using around brackets, is a method associated with what? With a string. Again, I'm going to see this one more time because it's very important. A length with an array is a variable. A length with an array is a variable. However, a length with a string is a method. So this is the array case. It's going to be here. However, in the string case, when you're having a string case, a length is going to be here. Length as a method. So in this case, it's going to method, and you need to use around brackets. Here, using just a dot. You don't see any round here. Okay. So if we're creating or initializing, declaring and initializing here, an array num, and you set these numbers, okay? Then you would like to print, this is not supposed to be first item, because we are not, when we say num, dot length is not going to give us the first item, it's going to get us the size of the array. So when num dot length is going to be how much here, guys? So what's the answer here? So what's going to print? A num, we're having a num here, dot length, which is a variable, which is not a, okay, good, 5 or 6. This is the tricky. It's good that you're doing it, guys. Let's see, the index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you access it, you're going to use an index starting from 0. But the size, it is going to count 0 as an items. Okay? So it's going to be 6, not 5. You have 5 index starting from 0 to 5. So starting the index is starting from 0 to 5. But the size, if you would like to count it, you count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. Okay? Because you're counting 0 as an item. Okay? So size is 6. Good? Let's go to the last one. A last item. If you would like to access a last item, the simplest way is to use it. First, you would like to go to num. And then how you know the last item? You said, how I'm going to access the last item? I said, a name of the array, dot length -1. Why I say -1 here? Why I didn't say num dot length? A length is going to give us how long is the array, right? This is important, guys. Okay, let's back to it. Okay, so we have index from 0 to 5. Good? Index from 0 to 5 and its size is 6. I give you the answer. Okay? I would like to access this. The answer is 15. No problem. I'm going to access the last item, 15. But why I said a length minus 1, I didn't say a length. If I say a length is going to be 6, right? Why I say this is a trick. This is important. Okay, this is very important. Here you start the index from a 0, right? So if you put numData length is going to be 6, so it's going to be runtime error. If you said 6, it's going to be out. You put minus 0 because the index is starting from 0. Okay, so you needed to get 1 back. You cannot say it until 6. You need to get the last one is going to be minus 1. Length minus 1 to get the last one. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. There is a characteristic called immutability. So we need to know if it's immutable or not. What's immutability? It means it can be changed or not. هل هي قابلة للتغيير؟ هل ممكن انك تغيرها بعد ما تعمل لها declaration or not? So there is an important concept here that in an array والstring both of them are fixed length. So اثنينهم انك لما تعرفهم الطول اللي حقهم ما راح تقدر تغيره بعد كذا ابدا. Okay? So whenever you declare, for example, an array here to have 5, so the size here is 5, and then you decide another holder, the holder 2, it has a 3. So even if you say holder equal to holder 2, this is not going to change the array. What is going to change? We already talked about it. It's going to change the reference. This is exactly the previous example to those who is remembering. We having circles here, so you just get to change a reference. Okay? A length, the array length is fixed at the point when an array created, whenever you declare it. But you can change what the content. المحتوى اللي فيها تقدر تغيره. يعني تقدر هنا بعد ما عرفت الاري والقيم الموجودة فيها 1 تقدر تقول ان الهولدر مثل ما عملنا قبل شوية الاندكس 3 for example is equal to 10. So you can change the contents. However string مثل ما راح نشوف بعد شوية ما تقدر تغير الكونتنت. So in an array you can change the contents. However, for string you cannot change the contents. So this is what we're going to see here. So immutability for string. إذا عرفنا string, for example, we defined it as a fish, and then you define it as a cat. This doesn't mean you changing the s. You just changing the reference. This is not going to change. Pointer is going to change, and this does not change the length of the original string. What changed is the reference again. So again, the array and the string are primitive or reference. Both of them are reference. The array and string, can you change the length on it? No, both of them you cannot change the length. In an array, you can change the content. With a string, you cannot change the content. Okay? So here again, content for the array, you can change it. A string, you cannot change it. Good? Both of them are reference. Both of them cannot change the length. but الارray you can change the content. الstring you cannot change the content. يعني بالarray تقدر تغير المحتوى، في الstring ما تقدر تغير المحتوى، ولكن الarray والstring both of them ما راح تقدر تغير الأطوال اللي حقهم كلهم من نوع الريفرنسز. أساس كذا so string are called immutable. That means it cannot be changed. ثابت يعني ما راح يتغير. string you cannot change length, you cannot change the content. ما راح تقدر تغير لا طوله ولا محتوياته forever. So الarray remember with ايش نوع الvariable as a string. I just said it. So الvariable string والarray are references. There are several steps taken to create useful object. لما راح تعمل object إلى أساس تعمل object إلى الarray راح تعمل declaration, creation and then making. في الديكلاريشن على أساس إنك تعرف الarray of reference variable. لما يكون عندك reference variables في السترنج أو الarray تحتاج في البداية إنك تختار appropriate type, right type. And then you initialize it, you put information on it, you put some content, and then you make a reference variable referred to something. So this is about array. I wish we can take a break, but unfortunately we are running out of time to finish the meeting, so I'll complete it right away. So let's do string. String is a sequence of characters, so it's not only one character, it's a sequence of character. It's representing a reference, as we just said again. It's having, you need to use a double quotation to show this is a string, and we will see in the examples. How you can declare it, you put a type string, and then you define a name, you put a name of the variable you are using. Here you're declaring two string, which is a name and address. No string I created by declaration, and the reference value in this variable has not been initialized. انت لسه ما عملتها initialized ووضعت لها قيمة. Great. So in this way, this is the declaration. You just created the string, then you initialize it. You put you reference it to a certain string. There are two ways to construct أساس إنك تقدر تعمل constructing string. Either you set a string equal to the new string. هنا راح توضع string literals. إيش يعني؟ يعني راح توضع مجموعة مثلا من الحروف X Y Z. هذه تسمى string literals. لما تحط double quotation inside it you put some letters. However, here this is called string object, and there is a big difference between them. This is a string literals only, and this is an object. String, the message here is a string object, but welcome to Java is a string literal. This is the first way. The second way, you can just assign it right away. You creating an object and you assign the literal value right away into it. Here, you're just doing the pointing things. This looks like what we did with the array. So you're just changing the reference. So, special string literature, literals is the string with a no content. إيش نسميها لما تكون إن هي ما تحتوي على محتويات at all؟ هي special type، هي ال empty string، ونعملها إنك تحط double quotation in a sequence next to each other. So في البداية لو exactly empty. So in a figure 1, you said we're declaring two strings, name and the name 2. In a second picture, I need you guys to write this down, the answer for me. So I already having the literals string, which is David John, and it's going to be equal to what? Name or name 2. Based on, this is the picture 2. We're talking a picture 2. So what am I supposing to have in here? A name. Good. Then in the next one, I need you to take out the picture to this picture. So I have the name already pointing to David John, and then I have the name 2 pointing to David John. So what is this sentence supposed to be? In this sentence, what I'm supposing to be to having this picture? To have the name 2 pointing to David John, what I'm supposing to write down? Exactly. Name 2 equals to name. The last one. I have a name pointing to Robert, okay? And then I have a name 2 pointing to David John. So what is this sentences? What I'm supposing to write down to get this picture? A name already pointing to David, and the name 2 is going to pointing to something else. So a name, it was pointing to David, and the name 2 was pointing to David. Now the name is pointing to something else. So how I'm going to write this down to get a name pointing to this word? Thank you, Asil. Right, but you're missing one thing. Double quotation. Same with you, Yazid. Don't forget the double quotation. Okay? So, a string object is immutable. That means you cannot change it. Once it's created, you cannot change it. We just say it, you cannot change the content. This sentence doesn't mean you change the content. We'll see here. When you're having string, S is a Java, and then you said it is equal to HTML, this doesn't mean you are changing the S. You're just changing the pointer. This is a tracing code. It is important, guys, to understand how you trace code, how you understand the code, okay? انكم تحاولوا تتبعوا الكود كيف يعمل، تحاولوا تحللوه اساس تقدروا تحصلوا على الاوتبوت الصحيحه. بالاختبار مش دائما راح يكون معك الابلكيشن او انكم راح تعملوا كودينج، راح يوصل لكم الكود وتحاولوا تحللوه على اساس تعرفوا ايش الاوتبوت. فالtracing code is one of the important skills that you're supposed to know. So first خلاص انت تعرف الان انت تقول string، انت ترسلها اذا كانت string او array. You don't create it as a primitive variable. You don't put a value on it. You print it or you draw it as the references. And inside the object you have the value here. So you have in Java, content cannot be changed. This is the first sentence. After executing it is equal to HTML, what is going to happen? The connection, the reference, the address is going to be broken from an object that has Java and is going to connect with a new object, string object that has an HTML. Good? So it's not going to change the S. It is just this going to change the references where it's going to point to. This is the same slide. Again here. Okay, I need your attention. I need you to give me the answer of the block, the blue box, blue square again. So we defined string is 1. We'll come to Java. It is going to point to Java. Good. This one here. Then in a second sentence is 2. This is the second sentence. This is going to be here. So in the first sentence, we pointing is 1 is going to point to come to Java. The second sentence is just using a different type of declaration, but it's same, but it's going to point to welcome to another Java here. In the third sentence, I need a welcome Java is3 to point to. So what is the answer here? What I have? I just told you guys. So string what? Yes, it's S3. It's not S1 because now you're creating a pointer from an S3. It's already we did S1 at the beginning, so S3 is gonna to point it now. Okay. Okay. Now back if you when we talked about an array, it has a length as a variable. A string has a length as what? As a method. So you have to have around practice. Okay. It's okay. It's not a curly brackets, sorry, round brackets. This evaluated the number of characters in a string referred by name. So it's going to count a number of it. So if you're having this string, the length method would return what's the value of this. If you run a name, that's a length for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8, right? The empty string has a length of what? What's the length of the empty string? You remember the empty string is like this? 0. Thank you, guys. So the length of the empty string is 0. So now we will talk about what is called concatenations. Concatenations represented by plus. إنك راح تجمع أكثر من قيمة مع بعض باستخدام البلس. What is going to happen? They're going to turn, or they're going to be a string even before carrying out the concatenations. So here, if you define an integer 2, and then a string, and then you define another string that you need to put all the information on it. You put string, the address is a string, and then you put a set of literals chart, and then you put an integer, and then you put again literals strings. So you have 2 literal strings, and you have 1 object string, and you have this is an object string, and this is a literal strings. This is a literal strings, and this is an integer. You just put plus between them, and then you will get a string at the end. So if we see here the example, so we defined an S1 as a hello, and then we define S2 as hello, then S2 as another hello. Then we will put if statement. If S2 equal to S2. Is this right or wrong? True or false, I mean. S1 equal to S2. S1 equals to S2. That's right. All of you is doing is wrong. It's not true. It's false. When you do true, equal, that means they're referring to the same object. If both of them is pointing to the same place. But here, they're referring to different object. It's false, so it's not true. It's not going to get in here. It's going to get into the last one. So it's false, okay? Be careful, guys, because all of you think it is true. Here, they having different refer. We are talking about refer. They're not referring to the same place. You see here? Both of them is referring to different place. However, in the second part, so this is the first part, if statement, we have another if statement. Let's use another color. So from here to here you're testing if they having the same reference. Here you're testing if they having the same content. So he said S1 dot equal to S2. Are they having the same content? If you would like to check if they having the same content, إذا أنت تبغى تختبر هل هم لديهم نفس المحتويات تستخدم equal. إذا أنت بدك تتأكد هل هم يأشروا they having the same reference using equal. اوكي أسيل؟ شوف بالمثال الأول لما عملنا S1 equal to S2 أنت كأنك تقولي هل ال S1 وال S2 ريفير يأشروا على نفس الأوبجكت؟ لا هم ما يأشروا على نفس الأوبجكت. الأول يأشر على أوبجكت غير الثاني. أنت لما عرفتيهم هنا ما قلتي إن ال S1 equal to ال S2. أنت لو أضفتي هذه الجملة S1 equal to S2 أنت راح تغيري راح تكسري هذه وتأشري على هنا. فهنا راح تدخل في الأولى أنهم refer to the same one. بس ما دام إن هنا عملنا declaration. Oh sorry, I'm supposing to use the reason. Okay. بس هنا ما دام إن إحنا عملنا two different declaration. This is the tricky things. We do لا الريفرنس مش المحتوى. هنا السؤال الثاني الجزء الثاني لما تقولي ال S1 equal to S2 معناها هل هي المحتوى نفسه ولا لا؟ هنا هل راح تكون true ولا false guys؟ لما نقول S1 equals to 2 it is going to go here, it's going to be true or it's going to be false? Yes, it's going to be true. They have the same contents. ارجعوا مرة ثانية لما تخلص اللكتشر and read it by yourself. Just focus إن الأولى راح equal focus on a reference, الثانية focus on the content. Okay? طيب نجي للفقرة اللي بعدها إن ال S1 ده equal إلى ال S3. هنا ال S3 هل هذا الجواب هنا إيش راح يكون الجواب؟ لما نقول ال S1 الآن لما نتكلم عن ال equals نتكلم عن ال contents ما نتكلم عن ال reference. هل محتويات ال S1 ال content that equal إلى ال S3 true or false؟ Yes. إذا كنا ورد yes لو قلنا أن ال S1 تساوي ال S2 راح تكون الأولى. هل ال S1 dot equal ال S3 true or false؟ It's false لأن الأولى capital والثانية small ال H. Okay, so first is capital and second is small. I already put it down for you. لكن في مثال ثانية تقول لك إن لو حطيتي ال S1 وقلتي هل هي equal ولا لا لكن ignore ال case sensitive يعني أنت طلعي هل هي تساويها ولا لا بدون ما you consider هل هي case sensitive ولا لا راح تكون true لأنه ما راح يهتم بال case sensitive. Then here the question الآن the tricky one again ال S3 equal is 4. S3 equal ال S4. Is it true or false؟ الآن بعد اللي شرحناه قبل شوية المفروض هذا يكون جوابكم فيها صح. نفس اللي عملناها بالإف. ال S3 equal S4, true or false? Okay, most of you did it right. It's true. ليش؟ لأن احنا لما نقول equal جالسين نتكلم عن references. So both of them are referring to the same object. ال S3 that's equal ال S3 ال S4. So ال S3 هل هي equal إلى ال S4? Does they have the same contents? True or false? Okay, so true, right? هنا بعض الميثودز اللي تستخدم بالstring. I'll go over them very fast. So هنا أمثلة عندك بالمثال الأول أنت عرفنا أو عملنا initialized إلى ال S1 الجافا نايت، بعد كده ال S2 جافا نايت لكن هي راح تكون small. ال S3 راح تكون جافا small وراح تكون رايت مو نايت. ال S help راح نعرفها على ان هي help. ال S5 helping. Okay, so let's do this fast. لما تقولي ال S1 هذه الان اللي حطيت dot and compare to هذه ايش نسميها؟ we are using method. لما تقولي ال S1 comparing مع ال S4 ال S1 وهنا ال S4 when you compare it ال compare to ايش تشتغل على راح تقارن الاحرف اللي حقها. إذا كانت الأولى أكبر راح ترجع عدد موجب is gonna return a positive number. إذا كانت الأرقام حقها أقل الريبريزنتد اللي حق اللتر أقل راح ترجع ماينس. فهنا لما تقارن الجافا لأن الجافا هنا فيها كابيتال راح يرجع لك 2 إن هي الأولى أكبر ب2 حسب مقارنة الأرقام بجدول represented for each letter. Then when you comparing ال S3 مع ال S1 ال S4 عفوا الhelp مع ال S1 ال S1 هي ال S4 أصغر من ال S1 لأن هي تحتوي فقط 4 أحرف. That's why it's minus. Whenever this is minor, this is the smaller, so it's going to be minus. And then we're going to compare this to, it is going to, as I said, all the examples, whenever it's smaller is going to be small, bigger is going to be plus. And the numbers depending on the table. Here, S5 compare with the S2. بالتالي تقدر ترجع إلى التيبل اللي حقها represented حق each letter and then you calculate it. ال S5 عبارة عن helping dot هنا على أساس نرجع إلى الزيرو compared to ال S4 and help. ولا هي هذا okay, this is not the one. This is for this. Yes. We are talking about this one, 0. If you're having S1, if you're having S1, that's compared to ignoring cases in S2 is going to be 0. Because they're going to be similar, you ignoring the small case sensitive. يطلع على أساس الجدول في جدول اللي هو اليونت المحتويات الأرقام في لها حسبة معينة تقدري تبحثي عنها إلى كل letters represented to which number. الآن هنا الميثود اللي بعدها اللي هي الcontains. لما تقولي ال S1 that contains هل هي تحتويها ولا لا؟ ال S1 does it contain a night؟ ال S1 هنا does it contain a night؟ Yes, true. Even if it's a part of it, they didn't say nights, they said a night, but still it contains it, so it's going to be true. ال S1 does it contain ال NGHT؟ this is a different word, it doesn't contain it, so it's going to be false. الآن الميثود الثانية اللي راح نتكلم عنها اسمها start with. هل هي راح تبدأ فيها أو لا؟ هل هذا string S1 تبدأ بالجافا؟ So that start with. Does it start with it? Yes, true. The last one is S1 dot end with HTS. Yes, true. So it's going to be true. So those are all the methods. You can try it so you can remember it all. I just wrote some example about more information about string compared to method using for comparing two string. Lexicographical, each character of both strings is converted to a Unicode value for compressions. This is when المقارنة هي هذه أسيل. أنت تحتاج ترجعي إلى اليونيكود تيبل حق كل letters. Okay, so then you will understand it. We don't have a Unicode compressions table, that's why you feel it's little equal. But if you back and search about the Unicode and you try to understand, this is what it does mean. If both strings are equal, then the method returns 0. All return positive or negative. The result is positive if the first string is lexicographical greater than the second string. Also, result would be negative. Okay. في table يا سارة، في table اللي هي اليونيكود كل حرف له قيمة، فهي الكومبيرتو راح تقارن لك اعتمادا على القيم. إذا كانت اللي موجود باللفت اللي موجود هنا هو الأكبر راح يرجع لك قيمة موجبة. إذا كان هو الأصغر أوكي أسيل أول مرة أسمع باليونيكود سيرش اكتب اليونيكود تيبل وراح تشوفي كل حرف ايش الريبريزنت حقه وايش الرقم اللي يمثله. تمام. اذا كانت السترينج اللي في البدايه هو الاصغر راح يرجع لك اياها نيجاتيف. اوكي. هنا more methods يقول لك اذا انت عندك الان عرفتي تو سترينج، اذا استخدمتي الاندكس اوف، لا مش لازم تحفظي الجدول، ممكن تحصلي اونلاين ومش لازم تحفظيه. هذا الكومبيرتو ما راح يجيبوا لك هي انك تطلعي الارقام. اوكي، ما يتوقع منك انك تحفظي الارقام اللي حقها. طيب تمام. لو عندك الان اندكس وانت حابه توجدي الاندكس اوف، لو حطالك الاس راح يشوف لك وين موجوده 1 0 1 2 so it's going to be 2. بعد كذا في خيار ثاني للاندكس اوف، انه هو يقول لك الاندكس اوف الى هذا اللتر، بس بنفس الوقت قول لي من فين ابدا. هنا يقول لك انك راح تبداي من الثالث، فهنا راح 6، فانت لو بداتي من الثالث هنا رقم 3 4 5 and 6. So إذا بدأتي من الثالث أول مرة راح تجي لك الإس هي بالإندكس 6. تمام؟ الإندكس اللي حق الآن راح تبحثي عنها وين موجودة الإن كابيتال. الإندكس أوف الإي إم راح يبحث لك عن أول مرة الإي إم تنوجد. طيب يا نايف، إن شاء الله نخلص. يعني إن شاء الله على 6 أوقف. طيب السبسترينج الاس دات السبسترينج الى ال8، يعني راح يقول لك من عند ال8 انت راح تحاولي توجدي من فين اللي حق السبسترينج الاس. طيب هذه راح تكون هنا انالايز، فانت 6 7 بالاندكس. ارجعوا معايا فوق هنا الاس 1 تبدا لك 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. at ال8 راح تبدأي ايش السبسترينج من ال8 هو الانالايزد راح يبدأ لك من ال8 وراح يكمل عليها. تمام؟ بعد كذا ممكن يقول لك اوجد لي السبسترينج، اوجد لي قطعه من السترينج من الاندكس 10، هنا قال لك من الاندكس 8، يعني راح تكون ما دام هو ما حدد لك متى النهايه، يعني راح تبدا من ال8 الى النهايه. لكن لو كان حابب انه هو يوقف في مكان معين راح يقول لك ابدأي من هذا المكان وانتهي بهذا المكان. فانت فين راح تبدأي؟ راح تبدأي من ال10. So you're going to start it from 10. So we having 8, 9 and 10. So 10 is A, 11 is L, and then Y is 12. We don't get the 13. Remember this, guys, okay? You see here? You said stop before 13, so you don't get 13. You get 10, 11, and 12. You don't get 13, okay? The other methods is to uppercase, that's going to convert the string إلى uppercase. To lowercase راح يحولها إلى lowercase. هنا another important method is called trim. trim معناها إن هي راح تشيل لك spaces at the beginning at the end. إذا تشوفوا هنا نرجع إلى المثال اللي موجود هنا. هنا في البداية في space وat the end في space. لما تستخدمي الترم it's gonna to remove the space at the beginning at the end. Replace is gonna to replace is gonna to search an S2 on any L and replace it with L. So الأولى الargument الأولى you're gonna to search for what? الargument الثانية you're gonna to change it with what? So you're gonna to search for N and replace it with L. Okay? هنا هذا replacing في أكثر من method للreplacing. You can replace old character يعني راح تحددي إيش هي old character اللي تبغى تغيريها مع new character. لسه المثال اللي قبل شوية شفناها. ممكن you can just replace the first. So you're gonna to put a string. إيش هو string اللي أنت جالس تبحث فيه. It's either an object or literal strings. And then you're going to change only the first. Replace the first matching only, not all of them. Then you have replace all. You put a string. هنا ما راح يعني راح تستخدمي string the same, but it's going to change all. Not like the first one is just going to change it first. Then you have a split, which is going to you get to string. You have a determine, so you determine like every space you split it. Every X you split it, every semicolon, every comma. So you decide after each thing how you're going to split the string, okay? So for example here, okay, so we will stop with this example here. So if you're having welcome, you replace the E small with the E capital. So this is, you're going to search for any A small, you search replace it with an A capital. All of them, replace all of them. When you say replace first, it's just going to replace the first E. So the first E here, you replace it with an AB. Then, when you said replace, the first only AB. When you say replace, again, it's going to replace all of them. So it's going to replace the first E here and the last E here, okay? And this example replace the EL with an AB. They said EL, so that means only it has only EL. Okay, this is quite tricky one. So just take a look with me. Let me change the color because all is red. So this is the string, okay? This is the literal strings, A plus B, and then this character, those all are a chart. They said replace all, change everything in this with N, okay? So this is the word. This is the word that we are working on. We are not working in welcome anymore. So you back to A. is one of these characters? No, so it's going to be as it is. Then the plus. Is the plus one of those characters? Yes, is here. So I'm going to replace the plus with a 3n. So those are 3 n's instead of the plus. Then the B. Is it B is one of those characters? No, so it will be B as it is. Then I have the $sign. The $sign is one of the characters here? Yes. So I'm going to replace it with the 3 n's. So this is instead of the $sign. Then we have the hashtag. The hashtag is one of the character here? Yes. So I'm going to replace it with another 3 n's. And then at the end, we having a C, which is not representing with any of this character. So we just put it as it is. Good? So this is the end of today's lectures. We will complete the rest with the next meeting, but I'll start to 4 sharps to cover the contents that we haven't completed today. Okay. Those who's having another lecture, you can leave absolutely. If you have any question, please let me know. The material is quite long, that's why we didn't cover it, and I'm trying to make sure, guys, you are understanding what I'm saying. But I believe in the next session we'll be a little faster, because we still having couples of slides here we haven't covered yet. So we stopped, let me remember, in 25, okay. Okay, so الأمثلة اللي هذه السلايدات is updated. الأورجنايزر اللي حق المادة المفروض إن هي ترفع who has a class you can leave absolutely I'm done. اللي حابب يطلع من الكلاس يطلع I'm done خلصت. بس اللي راح أجاوب أسئلة الطلاب. أيوة الأمثلة هذه مضيوفة إضافي. حتى الكونتنت مأخوذ من الكونتنت اللي حق الميتنج الثانية وموضوعة بالميتنج الأولى. على أساس كذا ما قدرنا نغلق عليها بالمرة الأولى. فالمفروض أن الكوردينيتور راح تعمل أبلود إلى النيو ميتنج. اوكي نايف مش مشكله انا الاتندنج اقدر انزلها رايت اواي. يعني ما اخذها، يعني اللي حاب يحضر ويسال for him or herself. اوكي فان شاء الله حتى الاكسرسايز I'm gonna to use send الاكسرسايز اللي عندكم بالسيستم. لسه الاكسرسايز اللي حق الفصل الدراسي اللي طاف، الاكسرسايز الان اللي راح نحلها بكره بالمعمل راح تكون مختلفه. عندنا 6 exercise. By the way, let me upload it for you here, guys. And I'm gonna to send it by email as well, hopefully soon. Meeting exercise. Okay. So I already uploaded now. I send the exercise. هذا الاكسرسايز اللي راح نحله بكره. الاكسرسايز اللي راح نحله بكره هو هذا. خليني افتح لكم هو هنا. تمام. هو هذا الاكسرسايز الجديد تشوفوه الآن لسه طالع يا يزيد. هذا الاكسرسايز الجديد الآن أنا أرسلت لكم هو على PDF وراح أحاول إن شاء الله أرسله على الإيميل. تحاولوا تتدربوا عليه لبكرة. عندكم 6 questions. We already did 1 and 2 during the last lab. So tomorrow بنشوف قد إيش ممكن نحل إلى 6. فأنتوا if you come prepared that would be good. فعندكم question 3, 4, 5 and 6. تقدروا تشوفوه الآن طلع معكم. الكونتنت اللي حق الكورس واللاب is not short. So احتاج همتكم معي على اساس نقدر نخلصها وتفهموها. يعني attending a lecture is not enough. You really need to spend some time practicing, reading and studying. Attending is not enough. يعني لأن الكونتنت is so heavy. And sometimes we have to do it fast. بس انتوا لو قريتوا الكونتنت من قبل مسبقا راح يكون اسهل عليكم انكم تفهموها.